When it comes to Santa Fe steam locomotives, one of the first that comes to my mind is the Santa Fe number 3751. Being the oldest 484 in preservation, and arguably one of the finest, is one that I really hope to see in person someday. There's something that I find very charming about Santa Fe 484s, and 210-4s too, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe it's biased from Andrew TBRY being one of my favorite characters. Either way, today I'm going to be looking at the Broadway Limited Imports 3750 class 484. As with all Broadway Limited models, when you get this model, it will come in a heavy Paragon 3 box, which basically lifts up like a lid. Note that when you open it up, you get some spare traction tires with a screw, 2 extra smokestacks, but more onto that later, and an instruction booklet. If this is your first ever Broadway Limited locomotive like it was mine, I definitely recommend reading this instruction booklet. It really does come in handy. You then carefully lift the locomotive out of the packaging, and soon it's free and ready to be run. There are many things to say about this model. I would go so far as to say that it looks exactly like the real 3750 locomotives, with its attention to detail like rivets, handrails, and shape and proportions. Practically flawless if I do say so myself. Being a Broadway Limited locomotive, both the engine and the tender are fairly heavy, especially when compared to other locomotives I've handled in the past. I even want to point out the nice additional smokestacks that this model comes with, which you can see here. Whichever one you use is up to you. I also want to make a shout out to the tender connections. Instead of the 9-pin plug between the tender and the engine being on the bottom twined between the drawbar like some other locomotives, it goes right behind the locomotive underneath the cab. This makes it a lot easier to separate the locomotive and tender when you need to do work on it or put it away. Bachmann, you should take hints at this. If the aesthetics of this locomotive are something to come by, just wait until you see its performance. There is a lot to say about the locomotive's performance. Not only is it a smooth runner like any good quality model should be, but it's also very heavy, strong, and durable. One section of my layout has a slight short circuit, which causes engine to slow down in most cases, but the Santa Fe 483 went through like it was nothing. Looking at it further, it is easy to tell that this, like any Broadway Limited steamer, could pull practically anything you give to it. But on such a small layout, I can't give it that large of a train due to the space. Even furthermore, this locomotive makes smoke too, but the smoke fluid I tried using for it doesn't seem to work. It's not the engine, it's the fluid. The best part of it, I have to say, is this. Every Broadway Limited locomotive sold today will be equipped with sound, but I'm not going into detail about it. I'd rather you see, or in this case hear, for yourself. Broadway Limited Santa Fe 484 has a retail price of $400. To be honest, yes, that is expensive, but all of Broadway Limited steamers are extraordinarily expensive, so that should come as no surprise. I got my 484 from trainwheel.com at a price of $300. It is always wise to save up your money when you want to buy a Broadway Limited locomotive. You're always going to be paying an arm and a leg, even if you get one at a discounted price. I give this locomotive a 10 out of 10. Broadway Limited has hit its mark again with this locomotive. I'm so glad to let this be my first ever Broadway Limited imports locomotive. And if you are a big fan of the Santa Fe, or want a really fancy 484 Northern in your collection, this would make a great choice for you. Sure, Broadway Limited locomotives are expensive, but this fine model has proven to me that they are hella worth it. It is now my most prized engine.